truth on all things in society, life, and culture. Join us for brutally honest guests, banter, and no-nonsense advice. The Mean Machine Radio Show, where life gets real.
Let's go! Like this.
All right, well, here we go. I wanted to be able to start out today, and we're going to have to redo that one, but it's sort of like, when you have somebody that has been in the public eye and that maybe you don't remember, or you weren't around for that, or you're not a film fan or anything of that nature. Sometimes it's more prevalent when I announce it or I have somebody on here on our show right here. So that's what we're going to do as that little lead in right there. I am Gregory Joseph, and welcome to the Mean Machine Radio Show right here on WGAT 88.6 FM. Yep, from the great Garden State. All right, so today I'm very happy and excited to have a great writer, director, and producer. Definitely a Hall of Famer, and he has been gracious enough to join us this afternoon here on the show. Just to give you a little bit of background, like I had mentioned to him right beforehand, he's also a Harvard graduate, which by default makes him smarter than me and most of you. But in any event, he's a great guy. He's definitely a captive soul, and you're going to want to hear what he has to say. He has directed many people. He's produced many things, won awards, and but his work that he's most proud of and that he is most known for is for the film from 1973 called Bang the Drum Slowly. And he directed Robert De Niro, Vincent Gardenia, and a host of others that you will be, we name drop as we go on and on here. But the gentleman's name is Mr. John Hancock, and he is coming from us, or for us, I should say, live via satellite from his home. So we'll bring in John now. Good afternoon, sir. How are you?
Hello. I'm good.
That's good. So you heard your intro there, and I appreciate you being here. Thank you. So we welcome you to Jersey, and you are in Central Time Zone. You're in the Indiana area, correct?
Yep.
All right. Very good.
Chicago time.
All right. So, like I said, you heard your intro, John, and like I said, Bang the Drum Slowly is, obviously it's a classic. For those that haven't seen it, they're going to have to, and we'll show a clip in a little bit, which is pretty much the promo clip from that movie that came out. Lots of different people in there. Some are household names at this point, but weren't at that time. But before we get to that, why don't you introduce yourself, if you'd be so kind, to our viewers and our listeners on who John Hancock is. Where are you? Where do you come from? And what do you do, sir?
Well, I grew up in the suburbs of Chicago, Berwyn and Cicero. I went to Harvard, and when I graduated from there, I went to New York and did a successful hit off Broadway right away when I was 22, which was kind of my calling card to the New York theater. And I worked there, and I ran several regional theaters. And then I got a grant from the American Film Institute to do a short. And it was about businessmen that played touch football in Central Park. And it was funny, and it got nominated for an Academy Award and was shown. I think CBS bought it and showed it at the halftime of their Thanksgiving football game. So that was a big audience, and it did very well. And then I started doing features. I got my first two features from that short. I did a picture called Let's Scare Jessica to Death, which is like a cult horror picture now. And then I did Bang the Drum Slowly with De Niro and Michael Moriarty and Vincent Gardenia and all those other people. And that did very well. That really got me going.
Yeah, to say the least. That's, like I said, that's your hook. That's what you're known for. Not too shabby. And so you're from the Midwest, but you went to Harvard, which actually, obviously is up in Massachusetts. So then you gravitated to New York. But when you went to school, was it like, did you have that as your end game, being like, I want to be a producer, I want to do film, I want to direct? Was it?
No, I wanted to direct theater, and I directed a lot of plays at Harvard. And
okay,
and I worked in the theater for maybe 8 or 10 years before I did a movie.
You're talking about Broadway,
off Broadway and regional theater. Yeah.
Okay, and that was just something that. Did you go to school for that, or was that?
No. Harvard is very much I think still is very much not a trade school. They don't want you to. There were no actual practical courses in acting or directing or theater or anything like that. You could take a course called Drama Since Ibsen, or you could take a course in Shakespeare, and but no practical, no trade school aspects. But the result of that, and there was also no faculty supervision for the theater at all, which I found very advantageous because I learned how to put things together myself. We did a lot of plays, but they were all produced and directed by students, and financed and out of their club budgets and that kind of stuff. So
Right.
I learned how to put things. I learned how to produce.
Just from I mean, it was like a trial and error, and you're doing it with students, and you kind of honed your craft that way before you slid down from Mass to
New York.
to the big time. Yeah. All right. Well, that's now theater. The jump from going from directing theater and that type of thing, just jumping into film. Was it an easy transition for you, or was that something that was more difficult to do?
Well, the first thing I did turned out real well, so in a way it was easy, but it was a nightmare.
Okay.
I mean, I didn't know what I was doing at all, and it took much longer than it should have, and it took me quite longer than it should have to learn about lenses and how to run a set. And I mean,
Yeah, there's a lot of moving parts, casting and the production part, and the capital that has to be raised to even get something produced from paper. I mean,
right. But the directing for theater, directing for films is different in many aspects, but in the most important aspects, they're identical. How do you get the most out of a group of people? What's clear? What's funny? And rhythms. I mean, controlling rhythms, and it's identical. It's not a foreign art form if you're working in the theater to make a film.
definitely not an exact science, I would think. I mean, that's I've been told that. I mean, I talked to a lot of different casting people and people that write scripts and playwrights and actors and musicians, and they all seem like they have that one common denominator. It isn't easy. I mean, it's just not storybook where you just walk in and you nail it and everything's wonderful and your phone's ringing off the hook and everybody shows up on time that you're directing and everybody doesn't forget their lines. But yeah, right. Not even close to being true. And I'm sure we'll touch on that as well. But that's something where you have to have a lot of patience, I would assume. And then, like you said, you have to learn the lenses and the angles, and then you got to go into editing and post-production. It's a lot of moving parts, in other words.
Yes. On the other hand, I had tremendous luck. I mean, the first 3 things I did turned out really, really well. So,
right.
Very underestimated is the role of luck in our business. And I certainly benefited from it early on.
Yeah, I mean, that's great that you can actually say that, because on the onset, usually people struggle and then they progressively get better. You know, it gets it grows exponentially. But you nailed it. It's like winning the Super Bowl in the first try. I mean, that's it's commendable, because I know firsthand on how difficult that must have been. Now, back in '73, so you're filming this and you're casting. We'll jump over into for Bang the Drum Slowly. So it was already written, and you had the script, and I'm guessing that were you chosen to direct that, or did you already have that in your possession and you had to reach out? Like, how did that kind of happen?
There was a lawyer for the Hiltons, a guy named Maury Rosenfield, and he was living in Chicago, and he had a very serious heart attack. So he stopped working for a while and went to Cub games. And he saw on that Thanksgiving television show the short that I did. And somehow it connected that he'd like to make a movie, and he read a very good book about baseball, which he was interested in from spending the summer watching the Cubs. And here was this young director who could do a sports film. So he called me up and said, did I want to make a film out of Bang the Drum Slowly? Well, I got a lot of calls, and you don't always take them seriously because a lot of people say they're a producer, but they want to have lunch. But he actually had the money to do it.
Okay.
And I knew the book already. I ran a theater in San Francisco called the Actors Workshop. And Mark Harris, who wrote Bang the Drum Slowly, had a play done there. So he was around the San Francisco thing. So I had read the book and loved it. So that all came together, and Maury and I went out to see Mark and got the rights. And we were off and running.
And they had the money to make it happen. They had the capital. You'd have to sit around and wait for it.
He had the money to do it. Yeah.
That's good. I mean, that's what you mean about it all falling into place right out the gate. That's
yeah, right.
I don't know how unusual that is, but it's definitely a plus, I would think, because you already have so many other things you have to do. Now, how did they cast that? Well, you were that was an integral part of what you were doing. Did you have someone in mind? Because I know for a fact that De Niro, if he did anything prior to that, it was very minimal. So these aren't like, well, Vincent Gardini was probably known. Michael Moriarty, I'm not 100% certain. You might be able to clarify that if he was in anything that I would remember.
No,
I didn't think so.
No, I'd seen him do a medium-sized part in a production of Antony Cleopatra in Central Park. He was recommended by my lifelong friend John Lahr, who eventually became the critic for the New Yorker for 25 years. But Bobby came in just to an open call, and read for the part. And he claims I read him 7 times. It's possible.
This is Moriarty said this?
No, De Niro.
Oh, De Niro did. Okay.
I mean, I know he came in, and we were seeing actors every 15 minutes for weeks, months in the Warwick Hotel in New York.
That's upstate New York, right?
No, Warwick is a town upstate in New York, but it's kind of across from the Time Life building. I mean, it's.
Oh, okay. You're talking about
Avenue of the Americas, 54th, 55th, around there.
Okay, Midtown. Okay, gotcha. So that's where you were doing the open call was there. Okay.
Yeah, and Bobby came in and started to read it, and I woke up. I thought, ooh, look what we have here. So I called him back, and then probably called him back. And then it became an issue whether he should play the catcher or the pitcher, and Michael should play the catcher or the pitcher. So we read them in combination several. So it could have come to 7 times. That seems like a lot, but it's possible.
And it's not even so much for those that haven't seen the movie or the film, I should say. It's not just who's going to be the catcher, who's going to be the pitcher. Somebody is going to be sick and the other one is not. And that's a whole nother facet of it. I've seen the movie several times, but now every time I see it, I immediately think of the New York Yankees. Obviously, this is based on them, I would assume, because of the pinstripes and the NY. It's a New York team, but it's not the Yankees. What's the name of the team in that movie?
It's called the New York Mammoths.
Mammoths. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because when you look at it, I mean, that's the first thing you think of. But I mean, so you knew that you had something special with Robert De Niro when he read, like the first time he read.
I did. Yeah, when you see one actor after another, right, all day after day, you don't go to sleep, but your mind goes into an altered resting state. And he woke me up,
No kidding. He like I mean, he did Mean Streets that came out the same year with Scorsese.
That was shot after Bang That I'm Slowly. He had done 2 small pictures for for Brian De Palma, Greetings and Son of Greetings, or I don't know, there were 2 pictures. Yeah,
right. They weren't like mainstream or anything. They weren't
no. He was good in them, but I had not seen either one of them. So he came to me just in a reading.
Oh, so that's even more astounding that all of a sudden Robert De Niro walks in on an open call. He had only done a couple of things up to that point on film, I should say. I know he did other things in the background of there, but I mean, that's just the fact that he just showed up. Now, what about So you had him in mind, and then Michael Moriarty, you got him.
He
And I
was
know
recommended by John Lahr, right?
by John Lowe, right? So now you have other. Now there might be some
Vince,
others that
Vince Gardenia, I knew from off-Broadway theater. I had seen him do Endgame and
Hmm.
a couple other things, and
So
I wanted to, I did that Brecht play I did that was really the first hit that I did in New York. I wanted to cast him in that, and he wasn't available for that. So he was an actor I'd had my eye on for a long time.
Who else was in that? I mean, those are the main guys.
Phil Silvers and Selma Diamond and Danny Aiello had never done a picture before. I don't think
That's right. He's in that. That's right. Danny Aiello is in that. You're correct. Yeah. I'm trying to think. I mean, there's other ones where people go, I don't know who that is. And then they see them and go, oh, that guy. Yeah, okay, I know who he is. They, you know, it might be a character actor who just showed up for that. There's there's several identifiable faces when I go back. You got to remember, I was a very tiny, I was a kid. But when I saw it, I mean, it was like the baseball version, in my opinion, forgive me for saying this, of like Brian's song. It was like you know what I mean? Like with the movie about Gale Sayers where they had Billy D. Williams and James Caan, that kind of thing, but which was a little bit before that, I think, if I'm right.
Well, yes, it was. And it almost brought us to a halt. Brian's song is really a ripoff of the novel of Bang the Drum Slowly.
No, see, I didn't even know this. And for those listening right now, we were not prepped at anything. We're very off, we don't have a script. That's amazing that I nailed it. Well, I might be able to hang with you, John. That's pretty good.
Maury Rosenfield's, he was a very, very difficult, irrational, and quite unpleasant man after all is said and done. But he had the balls to continue with Bang the Drum Slowly, even in the wake of the success of Brian's song. So, and maybe someone else would have chickened out. Excuse me, I have to get a phone call.
Sure.
No, I don't have to do it. I don't need to do it. I'm here.
All right. Okay. Well, we could edit that out. I'm not worried about that. I just that startled me. I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. Let me make sure.
I'll silence it. Yeah, I'll silence it.
It's no problem. Like I said, if we were live, that would have been an issue, but we're not. I'll edit this. No problem. I got to do one of these. That's how I know where the edit is when I'm not watching it. That's just an old trick. Anyway, so you had Brian's song that had come out, and like I said, I just happened to think of it because that's it's similar. It's parallel a little bit, but Bang the Drum Slowly was not some. I mean, was that Paramount? Who produced that?
Yeah, Paramount. Well,
it was Paramount. Okay,
it was. They picked it up and they bought it after we completed it. Yeah, and released it very well. They also released Let's Go Jessica. They really made that picture with their campaign. And
who was in that? Who was in Scare Jessica to Death? Who? Because I remember that. But
Zora Lampert was the nobody. Yeah, but Zora was a wonderful actress, and it's quite a scary picture.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to.
And Paramount bought it and changed the title from Jessica to Let's Scare Jessica to Death, and came up with a tremendous campaign, a really old-fashioned ballyhoo with a horse-drawn hearse outside the Criterion Theater. And I mean, it was huge full-page ads in all the daily papers, and I mean, they went for it, and it was very successful.
That's good. And that came on afterwards. So here's so you see
it came before. It came before Bang the Drum Slowly.
Came before. Okay.
Yeah.
So we have up on the screen. There's the. It's kind of like the slide in there, the insert. I could actually say from the DVD. So there it is. Robert De Niro, Michael Moriarty, Vincent Gardenia, Bang the Drum Slowly, the ultimate baseball movie. There you go. There's a nice. That's vindicating right there. Roger Ebert right on the cover there. The hardest part about playing the game is learning to connect. For those, like I said, that have not seen the movie, I'm going to play a clip, which is pretty much the promo clip that ran back in the 70s. I actually have a decent copy of it. It wasn't easy to find because it's a lot of them. It's they didn't have the best like Technicolor back there, and back then and that kind of thing. So I'm going to we'll take this off the screen for those that are going to be listening on iHeartRadio and that kind of thing. Obviously, they can't see it, but they'll be able to hear it. So I'm going to share our screen here, and let's do that and that. And let's see. Bang the drum slowly.
Friends. What's a friend for but to share a dream, to fight together for the joy of victory? You get to be a big league player and new worlds open up for you.
There's this airline stewardess.
Her name means what?
Mary.
Mary what? Smith, Jones, Brown?
Mary Pistollaglione.
And you get to share things with your teammates.
She'll give it to the whole club. She'll run right around my infield. Take down your pants.
You don't know how to play tug war? TEGWAR stands for the exciting game without any rules.
That's the first natural banjo since the days of Joe DiMaggio in St. Petersburg.
Hey, wait a minute. We're 15. 15's 31.
What's the name of this game?
15 plus 15 is 32.
30. Oh, that's right. That's a double honeybees.
Friends. To care enough for someone to risk your future because you're afraid he's got none.
There must be a clause saying that I and Bruce Pearson will stay with the club together or else go together. Whatever happens to one must happen to the other. Traded, sold, whatever. I'm scared. Hold on to me.
You know about the condition of my son.
Yes, sir.
How can he be so sick and play so well?
Two people whose lives become so intertwined that no one can tell where one ends and the other begins. Friends. Bang the Drum Slowly is the story of two friends, a rollicking baseball team, a pennant race, the roar of the crowd, and the quiet dignity of the human spirit.
All right, so that's pretty good. So that should flood back a few memories there, right?
Sure. Glad to see that. Yeah.
Yeah. When was the last time you actually saw that? I wouldn't be surprised if you said for a very long time. A lot of people tell me that kind of thing.
No, I saw it a couple of years ago. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So what we'll do is yeah. I mean, it's. I don't know. You never. I don't know. Did you even know what you had when it hit the editing floor? I mean, did you have that? Like that kind of, okay, this is really something like lightning in a bottle, or did you just kind of say, let's wing it and I think it's good, let's see what everyone else thinks? Where did that fall, if you recall back then?
The book was so good. I was so moved by the book that I knew I had something. Yeah. If I didn't screw it up.
Yeah. I mean,
and the editing process was difficult because we shot a lot more film than ended up in the final. So it was a matter of winnowing out other storylines and things. And it was the editing was hard.
Where was that film?
Much longer script than we should have. Where did we film it? We filmed in Clearwater and Yankee and Shea Stadium.
Oh, you now how did you manage that? Because back then, I mean, you're actually at Yankee Stadium and what was it, Shea back then?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. How did you? I mean, that was a big year for the Mets. I mean, that you're talking about 73. How in the world did you? I mean, obviously, it was not during the season, I would think, but was that hard to procure both of those places? Because we're talking about New York now. So
well, they had a film office that was encouraging. When we were shooting, was it a big summer for the Mets? I mean, the picture may have opened in 73, but we might have shot it in 72 or 70. I don't know when we shot it.
Right. I mean, I just recall. Yeah. I mean, I just recall that, yeah, the Mets were in the
World Series. They do go on. They play other cities, right? So when the Yankees were home, we shot at Shea, and when the Mets were home, we shot at Yankee Stadium.
Okay. Right. And like I said, yeah, 73, the Mets were in the World Series. The Yankees were not, however, that was an infamous year for the Yankees. That's the year that Steinbrenner bought the team. So it's a lot going on in 73 in that area. And you're right in smack dab in the middle of it with a New York Mammoths that look like the Yankees type of thing on there, which I think is completely like that. That's awesome. I mean, it's great that being a Yankee fan.
The pinstripe uniforms are so great. I mean, I was happy to use it. We didn't have to do that. We chose to do that.
You wanted the pinstripes. You wanted. I mean, that's how they're known. I mean, right? That's all right. So here you are. So you're directing De Niro and Gardenia, and they don't. A lot of these guys, other than Vincent Gardenia, which you already knew, you knew that De Niro, that you had something special. He read for it. He's memorizing. He's doing his thing. He's not a name yet. He didn't really work with Scorsese up to that point as of yet, as far as what I'm told from the contact that I have at Paramount. So did you just keep your fingers crossed? I knew that you liked the way.
It's the same. I'll get it later. I'll return her call later.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
You sure you don't have to get that? We're good.
Hello. Please leave a message after the tone. Hi, Juanito.
Okay.
Just calling to see how you are.
Okay.
And
my stepdaughter.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll edit this out later. No worries. No one's going to hear
that. Better clap your hands again.
Yeah.
Very good. Touche. Well, I don't know. Should I warm up for a third call, or are we good?
I don't know.
You know,
Okay.
occupational therapy, basically. And they're very irregular, which is very annoying. But, Andrew is on top of it. He really is. You make sure
I'm
that
sorry.
things happen that should happen.
She obviously has something to tell you. Okay,
So,
no problem.
that's about it. Just touching base
Okay.
to see you. And,
She's been sick for
boy,
years.
am I sick of
Well, I'm sorry to hear that.
the scans which use radioactive fluid.
Oh, God.
I mean, leave me alone with the radiation, please. Anyway, it's all to see that I'm okay, in terms of cancer. So, okay, so anyway, maybe talk to you soon if you're free. Okay, or when you're free. Bye.
Okay. There she's gone.
No, that's fine. That's fine. No big deal. All right. Oh, got to do another one. Okay. Hey, look, life gets in the way of interviews. What can he tell you? It happens. Life happens. All right. All right. So let me get my train of thought again here. All right. So you were directing. You're not sure if you have lightning in a bottle as far as, I mean, that's pretty much your two, obviously, those are your two main characters. So you got Michael Moriarty, and then you have De Niro as the catcher. You said you weren't sure who was going to play what. Were you the final decision in that, or did they have any say in that? Like, hey, De Niro goes, I want to be the catcher. I want that part. Did that happen?
No. We decided it. I decided it. Yeah.
And they were okay with it. They were right in line with. Okay,
yeah.
Did they switch off at any point? I'm guessing and read each other's lines, and that would sway you, or no?
Well, so we were still auditioning them. We tried them in various combinations, but
okay.
There was a big billing fight between the two of them.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and it was resolved by, I think, putting Bobby's name to the left and Michael's to the right, but higher. It's one of those.
Are you talking about on the marquee or
on the paid ads?
Right. Okay.
Well, here, De Niro has got first position, but
that's because it's the DVD, yeah. But
at the time, in the posters, it was Bobby to the left and Michael to the right, higher. That was the compromise.
So Michael. So we had some egos going there. And what about Vincent Gardenia, who already was more famous than both of those guys?
He was, but
he was like whatever, right?
He didn't care about billing, I don't think.
Yeah, I guess they all did pretty well. I mean,
Yeah.
Michael Moriarty went on to do several things, including he worked with Clint Eastwood. He was in a couple of those. I think it was Pale Rider. He was in. Obviously, we know about De Niro. Vincent Gardenia has been just about everything. I've always liked him. And
Okay.
Danny Aiello. Now he wasn't in the clip, Danny Aiello, but I've always liked him. You know, just being an Italian.
I like him. I like him as a person. Liked him. He's dead now. But yeah, well, he's from New Jersey. You would like him.
Yeah. Oh, Italians from Jersey. You know, we smell our own, John. Come on. But you know what? The fact that all these people did something and you had a hand in that, like you can say cut at action, and this is Robert De Niro we're talking about. We're talking about Vincent. These are not like little names. I mean, who knew? God only knew how they were going to progress. But that's kind of like their jump off point, and you were instrumental. Did they ever thank you for that? Not just for doing that, but did they ever actually say, "Hey, Mr. Hancock, thank you so much"? Because
Bobby, yeah, sure, yeah,
he did. All right, so
I don't think Vince, but Vince.
Well, Michael Moriarty, definitely, I would think, right? But
no, not so much, Michael.
No,
you know there were. I mean, I'm still occasionally in touch with Michael on Facebook.
Yeah,
but there were. The set was divided between who was better. There were the fans of Moriarty and the fans of De Niro, and I was in the De Niro camp. So maybe my relationship with Michael was
a little strained from that, I would think, maybe. I don't know.
Not much. We had one little tiff, but other than that, everything was fine.
So you film this, and you're done, and you're talking probably at the. I'm guessing it came out maybe. I'm not 100% certain, but I'm guessing it's in line with maybe springtime, like baseball season for 1973, because you wrapped it up in 72. How long did it take to film that, like from start to finish, when you were completely
done? 40 days.
That's it. So just a little over a month. Wow, I thought it was like a couple of months at least.
It was not. It was a low budget. It opened. I think early fall.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So there's a picture of you hanging out in Canada there, and like I said, that's what you are known for. Like if someone says, "Hey, John." Well, I'm sorry. Who did what did you direct or what movie? Your go-to is Bang the Drum Slowly, and you're proud of it, like you told me earlier.
I am. People also recognize Prancer. I mean, right now, I've been teaching. I'm so happy not teaching anymore, but I've been teaching at Second City and Columbia College in Chicago, and my students all know Prancer, not Bang the Drum Slowly. So. They know Let's Go Jessica to Death more than they know Bang the Drum Slowly. So
now, Prancer, tell me about that. I'm not really.
It was a very successful Christmas picture at the end of the 80s.
Okay.
About a little girl and a reindeer, and it was Sam Elliott and Cloris Leachman and Abe Vigoda.
Wow, there's some names in there. There's a couple of heavy hitters in there.
Yeah, and it was it's very successful and much loved. It's a really effective Christmas picture.
In the late 80s. Yeah, well, I mean, I've always been a fan of Abe Vigoda and people like Cloris Leachman. I mean, who doesn't know who that is? I mean, that's pretty amazing. But all right, so you have this stuff under your belt and you're doing that. Now, are you getting people like just throwing you scripts after it did as well as it did? Are they just like, here, can you direct this? I mean, is your phone ringing off the hook?
Yes, after Bang the Drum Slowly, yes, I was very hot for a while. Yeah.
What was your first go-to? I'm sure you had choice at that point and you had to make a decision. Where did you go with immediately following Bang the Drum Slowly?
I went with a big project for Paramount and Ray Stark called Ruby Red, but it never happened. So
It never got made.
I got paid and got to stay in a bungalow at the Beverly Hills Hotel on the company for 6 months. But
nice.
Yeah, but it didn't get made. Then I did a picture for Columbia called Baby Blue Marine.
Interesting. Now this picture I have up here, where you're right there, it looks like you're like an extra in The Godfather Part 2 when they're in Sicily there. So what's going on? What's the story there?
That's my farm. I was shooting a picture called The Looking Glass, I think in 2013.
Oh, wow.
And that's my Queen Anne's Lace up the hill.
Nice. All right. So this picture here, obviously, there's people that are not.
That's my pear orchard on my farm. I live on a farm and have shot, I think, 5 pictures in this area where I live. One of them was Prancer, and then I've done, I think, 4 more since then.
What do you have in your hand there? What script of that you have?
I can't read. I can't read what it is.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I can't either. Huh?
Something by my wife. I don't know.
Well, you look serious. You look serious, like you're very intense.
I am. I'm very intense.
You take it very seriously. I mean, when you said that you didn't. Well, you did classes and that. You said Second City Club, that kind of. And you just made mention. I caught that you said you're glad that you don't do that anymore. Can you expand on that? Is that? I mean, you would be like the old. I would sit in your class. I wouldn't miss one. You directed this. You did that. You're, I mean, a talent beyond. Why would you not want to continue? Just time-wise, you just got tired of it, or why did you stop teaching?
They don't pay enough.
Okay.
Just the quality of the students.
They were not taking it seriously, or I mean, this is part of their curriculum, right, for film students.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think, I mean, I've taught, 17, 20, I don't know, many years. I don't think I had one student that I thought could have a big career.
No kidding. After how many years? 17, you said?
Yeah. So,
wow.
You start to think you're wasting your life. Why are you doing it?
Even if you helped one person or one,
Well, yeah, you can help them enrich their lives, and some of them have had careers, but what you want is somebody that's going to go and be Kubrick, and that's never happened. So
yeah, well, like I said, those are big shoes to fill as well. Like we just mentioned, but all right, so that came out. And you had Bang the Drum Slowly, so now you've done theater, you've written, you've directed, you've produced, you've pretty much hit on everything. Here's a question I have for you, John. How do you feel about the culture, I should say? I don't know how prevalent it was then. I'm assuming it's scaled since. That's obvious. The whole Hollywood thing, and what I mean by that is not that it's a bad thing, but, there's good and bad in everything. And there's a lot of behind the scenes stuff. I've talked to enough people over 30 plus years of being in the booth that I know that they always had something where it's like, well, I don't like that part of it or this. Or how did you feel about it? Because you weren't an actor, it didn't affect you as much directly, or did it? Like that whole, Hollywood, insider behind the scenes stuff where some stuff is just a little bit over the top.
You're talking about like the casting couch and that kind of thing, or what are you talking about?
Well, I mean, yeah, I guess I nothing in particular that I would put my finger on. I've never been in that position, but what did you feel about it? I mean, even if you weren't, you were around that kind of stuff, or at least were an earshot of it. How do you feel about that? Like that you just stayed away from that and just kind of just were all business, or what? I mean,
well, it's been meat and drink in the business. I mean, there are a number of have been in my life of several very, very successful producers who really were in the high class pimping business. Fixing executives up with life mates, attractive, charming, beautiful life mates. So, do I judge that? No. I mean, I probably should, but I mean, it's been so much. There's Ingmar Bergman living with Lee Volman. I mean, Kazan and Barbara Loden. I mean, you start condemning that, and you're.
So this is more or less just the cost of doing business. It's not everywhere, but it's most places, and it's one of those things that are just accepted. I've heard.
Well, it's one thing to lure women to your apartment and hotel room and have a bathrobe on and jerk off into the potted palm. I mean, I definitely condemn that.
Yeah, I'm going out on a limb and
that's wrong.
Same thing there. Yeah,
but you're saying that directors can't date actresses. Well, it's an unequal relationship, so theoretically, no, you shouldn't be, right?
Well, they frown up.
I was married to an actress for 48 years, very happily. So, I mean, was that because I was a director? No, I thought she loved me, and I know she did.
Well, I mean that's.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm glad that was the case, but yeah, I know. I'm sure that it's just like any work relationship that you're not supposed to shit where you eat, and they frown upon it if you do that. And what you just said, which is very honest and accurate, you have a different level. The actor or actress is not directing you; you're directing them. So there's a power play that's involved that most likely gets in the way of an active, fruitful, loving relationship. I would think. I'm speculating.
It did not at all in our case. Both Dorothy and I did 7 pictures together, either with she's acting in them or writing in them or both. And we got along entirely. It never, you say, well, you don't want to take the office home. Well, we did, and it didn't hurt us. We enjoyed it. So that was a very fruitful and probably rare relationship.
Yeah, to say the least. I mean, it's not that I'm surprised because you're obviously a gentleman, but it's, 40, almost 50 years. I mean, come on. And then obviously you it can't be just your boyish charm when it lasts that long, I guess. So I'm guessing I'm going to go out on a limb again and say she did love you. And that's actually nice to hear, though. I mean, you're like a film. Okay, so here's a question I have for you, John. And so you have won or been nominated for different awards. Can you touch on that for our audience? And
well, I won an Obie for a production of Midsummer Night's Dream that I did at the Theatre de Lys in New York. I won the Brandeis Award, which is a big deal. I was nominated for an Academy Award. A whole bunch of different festivals. The Weeds, my picture with Nick Nolte about a prison drama group, won the main prize at the Carlo Vivari Film Festival. I mean,
what year was that? The one you just mentioned, which Nick Nolte, which one
89,
was that?
Maybe 89, 87, 88, sometime in there.
So the 80s. Okay. You were up for Academy Award for which one?
For the short, Sticky My Fingers, Sweep My Feet.
Wow. All right, so here we are, fast forwarding years later. Now you are, I'm guessing, semi-retired, fully retired. You're still reading.
No, I'm not. I'm trying not to be retired at all.
Oh, you are. Oh, okay.
I've got a screenplay that's really hot in Los Angeles right now. It's called The Love Story, and it's about a New York detective that falls in love with a female serial killer. So it's very kind of high concept and very scary and action and love. And
you gonna cast this, or where are you at with this right now?
We're in the process of Jeff Berg, is big Hollywood agent manager, is trying to find the right producer for it.
So you want to get this done? All right. Well, I'll tell you what. I'll raise my hand right now. I'll narrate the trailer. I'm no actor, but I've got the pipes to do the trailer. So remember your buddy in Jersey. But that's good, and that's funny. Like I said, I didn't even realize it because this is the Mean Machine Radio Show. We do not script out anything because it's more organic. You can say anything on this show because it's real. It's like I said, it's organic. It's not something that you sound scripted. If you are scripted, and you being a director, you could piece that together a mile away. So It's the honesty, it's the candor, it's the absolute twists that come with boom. Oh, by the way, this and that. So who was your favorite person to direct? You've had a lot. We've already mentioned De Niro. I'm sure he's up on the list. When you said, you know what, thinking back on my career or looking back on my career, even though you are still active, who would you say made the biggest impact on you during your career as far as directed? Really?
I enjoyed directing De Niro the most, right?
Why is that, though? I mean, we know who he is now and where he has been. I mean, Raging Bull is one of my favorite movies of all time. But how did you know then? How could you still say that now with all the different people that have come into your life since It's still him. Huh?
Oh, we were so close and really got along. Never anything bad between us, and just he was so talented, and I just sat there and cavilled over his performance.
Was he able to cry on cue? Because it looks like he was able to, especially in that scene that we showed earlier. Is he like one of those where you action and he just drops tears like that, or?
Sure, he could do anything.
Yeah, he's that good, huh? All right, I believe you. I just I had a feeling you might have said Robert De Niro. Now, are you still in contact with him or not really?
Not we were going to do Weeds together, and that ended badly. So that he's been mad at me because ever since.
Tell him the meme machine said, "Get over it. Let's get the lead out. Let's go." And we'll put him on the show and we'll put him on the spot. We'll be like, "Come on, Bob. What's the story here?" I mean, come on. It's how long has that been? I mean, friends are friends.
I would think so, but.
All right. Well, I'll make the phone call for you. No problem. I got you, man. So, all right. So you have a book that you had made mention of.
Hancock on Hancock is a book about me by Michael Doyle, and you could get it on Amazon. And it's interesting because I'm quite indiscreet in it. So you can find out the real truth about what went wrong between Bobby and me and Weeds, and whatever you want to know.
What is Weeds?
Weeds is a picture that De Laurentiis did, big picture, with Nick Nolte and Joe Mantegna and William Forsythe and Ernie Hudson. And it's about a prison drama group on tour.
This was the one they were talking about in the mid to late 80s, right?
Yeah.
Dino De Laurentiis. Okay. Yeah, I guess I know that name. And he's still pissed at you? I mean, come on. That was like 40 years ago almost. I mean,
well,
what did you do? Pee in a soup or what happened?
You got to read the book. You'll find it.
I see how you are. All right. Well, you send it. I'll read it. How's that? I was just curious because obviously he's still a name. And you are too. Now, a lot of people, they go, well, who's John Hancock? And then when you're connected with, I directed this person and De Niro and Gardini and people like that, that automatically gives it's that validity because you're a behind the scenes guy. You're not an actor. You're a great director. And to direct people that have, I mean, let's be honest, actors, actresses, a lot of them, most of not all, have big egos. I'm not going to read that. You didn't run into that so much with those guys on that set, did you?
No, because they were just starting out. Yeah.
Right. They didn't have time to develop the ego yet because they haven't been really mainstream.
Bobby got substantial ego later,
Well, yeah, obviously. I mean, and then he hooked up with Scorsese and he did a lot of stuff with him. They were doing everything like Taxi Driver and everything. It was just a few years after that and that kind of thing. The rest is history. Michael Moriarty went to what he was doing at Law and Order by 1990. He was the original, the Sears. And of course, Vince Gardini has been in just about everything. I loved, which is right around that time. I think a year later, Vince Gardini was Death Wish. He was in Death Wish like a year later with Charles Bronson, 74, wasn't it?
I forget. Yeah.
It was like right after. I think that was his next major film. So here are all these people that here's Mr. John Hancock directing this one, doing that, getting this all together. You're at Yankee Stadium. You're at Shea Stadium. You're filming. You're all done in 40 days. I mean, that's amazing. And these people all went on to other things, branching down or from you being you directing them. That's got to make you feel good that unlike your students that you were saying how they were far and few between, you popped off right at the right time with the right people right out of the gate. So I guess that happens. Is that kind of
yeah, I'm proud of that. Yeah, I would agree.
Absolutely amazing. All right, so the book that you mentioned, Hancock on Hancock, that is an autobiography.
Well, it's me talking. It's written by a guy named Michael Doyle, so it's a biography with a lot of the guy's voice, with my voice.
Okay, and that can be found on Amazon. I have your Amazon, and pretty much, is it like a paperback or is it ebook only, or is it both? Or
it's both.
It is, okay.
Yeah,
as most things are now. So I have
hardcover and paperback, and I guess.
All right. Well, make sure you sign mine when you send mine. I'm not playing around now, John. Come on. Okay. John at filmacres.com. That's the email that is flashing on the screen for those that are listening in on iHeartRadio or at WGAT right here on 88.6 FM. For those that cannot see that part of it, there it is. So that's the best way to now. If somebody wants to buy the book directly from you, they have to go to Amazon, or do you have like a website? Or
I don't have copies to sell. They have to get it from Amazon or someplace.
Okay, so you do it through there. So John at filmacres.com if they want to drop you a line. Someone's going to be like the next Robert De Niro out there. John is saying, sure, why not? I've did it once before, so yeah, you'd be the magic man. All right, so as we close up there, John, and I appreciate your time and your vigilance and everything you do. Going forward, you get this movie made, the one that you want to, the one that you said you're working on currently.
Yeah.
And tell the people, please, the name of that again.
It's called A Love Story at the moment. I don't know what it will be called when it opens, but that's what it's called now.
Who names these things, John? Honestly, was it just you? You?
Yeah, me for now, yeah.
Love Story, though?
A Love Story.
I was going to say, it wasn't that a 1970, you know who I'm...
Right, that's the confusion maybe we need to avoid and change it, but we haven't found the right thing to change it to.
You have to change at least the preposition from the to or something there. But I look forward to that, and that sounds like that'll be something good. I'm gonna actually check out your book there when I have a chance there. So, is there anything as we find a question for you? You've obviously won awards. You've done so many things, and you continue to be active, which that's a labor of love. That's something where you love what you're doing, because obviously you don't do it for this long.
I've enjoyed doing what I do so much, and I don't want to stop doing it. I don't want to drop dead on the set.
Oh, all right. Not this one though.
No.
Oh, all right. I just wanted to see what kind of time we had. So is there anything?
No, that's good. I've enjoyed this.
I was just going to say, is there anything that sticks out in your mind that you can like that's right there on the tip of your tongue, type of thing, that not so much a regret, but something that you didn't do that you wish you had, hindsight being 2020, something that you wish you had done during your career, which spanned more than 50, 60 years? I mean, that's
sure. Yeah, I mean, I turned down Glory. I turned down
Glory, the war movie, the Civil War movie.
Turned down China Syndrome. I mean, yeah.
Why?
Glory, because the script I was sent was not good. And I didn't think they could fix it, but they did fix it. I was also afraid of the producer, Freddie Fields, who I thought would interfere too much. And it turned out he didn't, so that was a mistake. It was the script I was sent of Glory was. I thought black people are going to despise this, and they would have if they had not fixed it. So I was afraid of that. China Syndrome, Michael Douglas and Jane Fonda wanted me to do it and rewrite it with change. It was two men, and they wanted me to rewrite it and change it with the two of them.
Well, that was late 70s. I know Glory was like 1990s. So China Syndrome, Jane Fonda and Michael, that I think was 79. Am I right? Something like that.
Yeah, something like that. But it was a development deal, and I felt I needed a go picture. It was a development deal that I would have had to have been exclusive to. And I thought I had done a development deal where I was exclusive, Ruby Red, and it hadn't happened. So I was wary of getting in another one that wouldn't happen. So I took a go picture instead of doing it, which was California Dreaming. But I would have done better to do China Syndrome.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what it would have been like to direct Jane Fonda. I've heard like conflicting information. Some that she was
I'm sure it would have been fine. I mean, I liked her. I knew her personally. She was a friend of Dorothy's. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Your wife. Okay. And what about Michael Douglas? Did you ever direct him in anything, or I don't?
No, I wanted to. Very early in his career, I tried to get a movie on. Before I'd ever done a movie, I tried to get something on with Michael Douglas. So he remembered me fondly from that.
Well, that's good. You never burned any bridges, because obviously, if you're held in high regard in that town, anyway, that goes That goes without saying. That's a good thing. But I'll tell you what, if you only have one or two things that you came up with, John, that were either regrettable or I wish I would have pulled the trigger on that over the course of 50 plus years, not too bad.
Do I regret that I got mad at Bobby on Weeds? Yes, I do. I should have.
I mean, he's got to get over it. I'll call him. I'll be like, hey, it's Gregory Joseph from WGAT. I'm over here in Jersey. Come on, man. Give John a break, man. He wants to pass away on this set. I mean, how do you say no to this guy? I mean, we'll do something. Well, I'll tell you what. When that comes about, I'll read the trailer for you for free, just to be able to have my name in the same thing as you, sir. It would be an honor, and I mean that. You're a class act.
It's been a pleasure, and I want to thank you for having me on.
Oh, anytime, sir. I really do appreciate your time. I've always enjoyed your films, especially that one. But just the fact that now that you've, let me get a little bit of glimpse of behind the scenes a little bit, and you're very forthcoming to our audience listening and or watching, speaks volumes of you. Thank you so much, sir. They don't make them like you anymore, and I mean that. I appreciate you.
All right. Thank you.
You got it.
Bye.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is Mr. John Hancock. He was gracious enough to spend time with us today. And I'll tell you what, not just a great director, but if you haven't seen Bang the Drum Slowly, it came out in the early 70s. De Niro, Vincent Gardenia, Danny Aiello, Michael Moriarty. I mean, these are just like top-notch names. And John has zero ego. You could hear just the way that the guy speaks about things. Like he's got some regrets, but he doesn't automatically have like these charged up answers or something scripted out or whatever. You could tell he's just thinking about it. He's processing and he's just giving you an honest answer. How refreshing is that? Anyway, if you want to catch us, we are the Mean Machine Radio Show on 88.6 FM, WGAT. We're local in the New York, New Jersey market. You could go to our YouTube channel, which is showing on there right there. It's at Mean Machine Radio. Same thing with Spotify, on TikTok, on Facebook, on Instagram, and Twitter and or X at what is that, Linda? WGAT Mean Radio. How would I know my handle? It's only mine. Anyway, I wanted to thank everybody that was watching and listening. The great John Hancock. And I'm going to talk to him again really soon because, like I said, some people are pretentious. Some are this, some are that. You don't get that vibe, whether you can see the look on his face or if you're just listening. You don't get that from him. And that is, once again, not to be repetitive, but that is something that you just don't. You don't see much of that anymore. That's old school, baby. That's what the Mean Machine is all about, having real people on talking about real stuff. So he's the type of guy that would sit down or shake your hand or whatever and sign an autograph or whatever. Hancock on Hancock is available on Amazon. And it's an ebook. And also, like he mentioned, you can find it just about anywhere where they have books, hardcover and the soft cover as well, a paperback. So you have the best of all those worlds. Anyway, thank you very much for joining us right here. I am Gregory Joseph, and you have been listening and watching to the Mean Machine Radio Show live from the Garden State. We will see you soon. Check out our social media. You can check out this interview and other interviews that we've done in the past and in the future. We are in the middle of season 2 now. And we'd love to have you. Check our stuff out. I think you'll like it. There's a little bit of something for everybody out there. Just wanted to say good night. Take care. Say a prayer. And remember, if you can't be good, be mean. Rock on, baby. We'll see you.
Get ready for the ride of a lifetime with your favorite DJ.
You are listening to the Mean Machine Radio Show on New Jersey, 88.6 FM WGAT.
You're listening to the best radio in town. Stay tuned.